Hello, glad to have you here. This is from the CBN. I am Emefiele. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, has declared that despite the hues, cries and complaints about the country, Nigeria remains the land where finding a simple solution to a common problem can lead to unimaginable financial prosperity as long as one is focused on the right things. That was at the Convocation Lecture of the 51st Convocation Ceremonies of the University of Lagos earlier this week. We have details of that event for you today on the program. We also have the interview with the Director, Development Finance Department of the CBN, where we continue with our in-depth analysis of specific economic intervention initiatives of the bank, plus news on the CBN Town Hall webinar for financial sector stakeholders on the African Continental Free Trade Area AfCFTA agreement, which held on Monday. Stay tuned. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, is keen on instigating the job and wealth creation spirit among Nigerian youths. He further communicated this in the convocation lecture he delivered at the University of Lagos on Monday, 5th of July. Mr. Emefiele highlighted measures that could enable greater growth of SMEs in the country using conventional digital channels. The university community turned up for the 51st Convocation Lecture, a part of the 2019 Convocation Ceremonies, which perhaps could have held sooner, but for the COVID-19 global pandemic. There was excitement in the air, a fact that was put into words by the chairman of the occasion, Pastor Tunde Bakare.
I'm particularly excited about the theme of today's Convocation Lecture, National Development and Knowledge Economy in the Digital Age, leapfrogging SMEs into the 21st century. I'm thrilled that we are delving beyond the realm of theory into the peculiarities of the Nigerian economy. And who better to deliver this lecture than the one and only Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin I. Emefiele, CON, who had led, to the best of my knowledge, the interventions of the Apex Bank, including the Micro, Small, and Micro Medium Enterprises Development Fund. As the world evolves towards currency digitalization in business and personal transactions, we look forward to locating the balancing act between unhindered digital innovation on one hand and regulatory policy interventions on the other.
The guest lecturer, CBN Governor Mr. Godwin Emefiele, who narrated how the effect of SMEs on a nation's growth and prosperity is tightly interwoven with his own personal story, challenged institutions of higher learning to ensure effective collaboration with industry players in key sectors of the economy in the training of relevant manpower to minimize mismatches between skills required by firms and the educational qualifications of graduates.
Globally, SMEs are considered key drivers of industrialization and agents of socio-economic transformation. In this digital age, they are recognized as the backbone of national and economic development due to their significant contribution to the gross domestic product through employment generation and poverty eradication. They also promote investment and wealth creation, equitable income distribution, export promotion, technological innovation, industrial diversification, and value addition to local content. The CBN has contributed significantly to the development of SMEs in Nigeria. Apart from galvanizing policy support for SMEs development through its mandates, the CBN has rolled out massive developmental interventions in some critical sectors of the Nigerian economy, especially in agriculture, manufacturing, and SMEs. Attention has also been paid to advancing knowledge and innovation through various initiatives targeted at promoting youth entrepreneurship, research and development. In terms of development finance interventions to directly support SMEs, The CBN has introduced several schemes and initiatives including the SME Credit Guarantee Scheme, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development Fund, Youth Entrepreneurship Development Program, which we will highlight some more today, and the Agri, Small and Medium Enterprise Investment Scheme, the AGSMEIS. Others are Entrepreneurship Development Centers, EDCs, National Collateral Registry, the Creative Industry Financing Initiative, Targeted Credit Facilities, and the Nigerian Youth Investment Fund. One of the most recent schemes targeted at channeling low-interest wholesale funds to the micro, small, and medium enterprise segment is the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Fund. This scheme, which charges 9% per annum interest rate, has recorded the disbursement of over 83.9 billion naira to 216,704 beneficiaries at the end of 2020. The obligor limit ranges from 500,000 naira for micro enterprises to as high as 50 million for SME financed by deposit money banks. Also, the initiative offers 10% of the total loans to startup businesses, 2% to economically active persons living with disabilities, and 60% of the fund's wholesale component dedicated to women entrepreneurs or women-led SMEs in order to promote financial inclusion.
He pledged the bank's readiness to increase its development finance interventions to further support startups and the small and medium enterprises in the country.
We would like to see, and indeed, closing from this lecture today, we'll be writing to all the universities to begin to conduct some kind of entrepreneurship development competition program amongst their students. If you truly say you are a graduate of agriculture, are you graduating with a certificate of agriculture to begin to look for a job in a company, or you are graduating with your certificate in agriculture to go into some agricultural business that will earn you revenue and profit with which you can develop your life and your country? Those are the kind of things we need today. And we would like to encourage universities, and I'm sure our team from our development finance at the central bank will soon write to the universities and develop a framework under which this can be done, because this is one aspect where we can begin to stimulate the entrepreneurial skill in our youths.
Chairman of the Convocation Lecture had a word for everyone as the ceremony came to a close.
This will be my closing remarks. The test of our progress is not whether we as a nation add more to the abundance of those who have much. The test of our progress will be whether we provide enough for those who have little. We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future. Thank you very much.
The graduating students of the University of Lagos, and indeed everyone, has a lot to digest from that convocation lecture. When we return from this break, we'll be speaking with the Director, Development Finance Department of the CBN on the Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprises Investment Scheme. Stay with us.
Up until a few years ago, Nigeria produced far less than it consumed, spending up to $22 billion annually on importation. Then came the import policy by the federal government. Now, to survive, the nation must learn to be self-sufficient. And so far, we are on the verge of achieving this through the intervention of the Central Bank of Nigeria and other stakeholders in support of local farmers and efforts of value chain entrepreneurs. Now, the goal of creating 10 million jobs in 5 years through 10 commodities is gradually being actualized. Let's buy Nigerian to grow Nigeria.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is from the CBN. Now let's analyze the Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprises Investment Scheme, an intervention initiative of the Central Bank of Nigeria in collaboration with the Bankers Committee. In this interview with the Director, Development Finance Department of the CBN, Mr. Philip Yila Yusuf.
AGSMEIS is one of our flagship products as a central bank. Since inception, the scheme has done very well. We've disbursed in excess of 111 billion to over 17,000 beneficiaries spread across the country. If you look at the demographics, quite a lot of young people. Agric is the leading. Agric takes about 34% of that 111 billion. Next is fashion, so things like tailoring, those who do fashion-related business, and then we are beginning to see a bit of uptick in those into music, and also the creative sector like IT, food processing, also good uptick, and a bit in the hospitality business. There's good representation across the 6 geopolitical zones. For those who have accessed the facility, and indeed we can see and track as the central bank the amount of jobs that has been created. We assess based on the models that we've built, in excess of over 100,000 jobs have been created with the AGSMEIS. A particular one is one in Abuja. We had the instance where we had somebody who was a cab driver. He accessed the AGSMEIS, got 7.5 million naira, went into block making, and today as we speak he employs about 15 people and is getting regular business. So indeed, brilliant initiative with the central bank and the bankers committee, taking 5% of their profit after tax and pulling into this fund, and also the fact that the AGSMEIS is uncollateralized. You don't need to have. Typically, if as a small business you go to a deposit money bank to ask for a loan, they ask you for an arm and a leg. But with the AGSMEIS is uncollateralized. The only thing we say is that 70% of that fund, of the credit, must be used for equipment. So I give you the instance of the block maker. 70% of the 7.5 million was used to buy the equipment, the generators you will require, and then the remaining 30% to pay salaries and working capital. So just that example tells you how the AGSMEIS has contributed to national development, especially in the aspect of job creation. Yes, I think the AGSMEIS is one of our most successful interventions as a central bank, and is also one of the strongest legacies of Governor Emefiele. It has, because post-COVID, quite a lot of our citizens, left their jobs, those who were in formal employment, and so many businesses struggled. What we did as a central bank is to ramp up the disbursement of AGSMEIS. So those who've left blue-collar employments can really begin to start, SME-type business, either into food processing, making yogurts and all that, or into fashion tailoring. We quickly ramped up AGSMEIS and got a lot of people who had left formal employment to begin to do something. So AGSMEIS has contributed significantly. And if you look at the numbers, when we came out of the recession, a part of that growth that you saw was the output of typically those who were involved in AGSMEIS. So significantly, AGSMEIS has contributed to output and national development. Okay, for small businesses and also for individuals entrepreneurs who want to go into one form of activity or another, it's one thing to be able to give them the credit, but knowing how to deploy that credit is another thing. And part of the guidelines for the AGSMEIS, that the Bankers Committee and the Central Bank released is that we needed to ensure that our citizens and our small businesses are empowered with some form of entrepreneurship training or the other. I'll give you an example. If you look at typically those who tile in the country who are into the building sector, most of them are from the neighboring West African countries. And why do we take them? It's because of the level of skill that they have. So we felt that we needed to, put some form of entrepreneurship training in place, teach them how to, manage their books, how to also run their businesses, best practices, how to bank and how to win customers. So that's the requirement, for accessing that fund, so that once you get the credit, you can hit the ground running. Also, vocational education is another thing we're looking at, using the AGSMEIS. How can we, it's not only giving the beneficiary who wants to go into tiling or who wants to go into painting, maybe the brushes, and the paint and all that, but how can he ensure, for tiling, that he gets it right, if it's a square, it's a perfect square and all that. Those are the things the EDIs and the vocational education is supposed to address. And that has largely contributed to the success of the AGSMEIS. Hitherto, so many other entrepreneurship programs have been, rolled out by both the fiscal and the monetary authority. But what was lacking and what made a lot of them not to succeed or to be effective is around the fact that we did not, provide effective training to the end beneficiaries. And at the end of the day, the credit went bad, or if it was a grant, the money was lost. So the EDIs are a key factor in the AGSMEIS program. Okay, like I earlier said, this fund is derived from 5% of the profit that the banks, declare. And on average, we were doing about between 60 and 65 billion every year in a good year. Last year there was a pandemic, and then the banks, did not do so well. So what has come into the pot is around 45-50 billion that is available. And if you look at the cost of materials, for somebody who wants to do a tailoring shop, the machines that you use, I said Singer because my mom used to own a Singer machine, the machines that you use for tailoring, and then the fact that you need alternative power, prices have increased a bit. But the duration for the application is what you've asked. Typically, when the fund is available, it typically takes less than 3 weeks from when you do it and you meet the requirement. Why there's so many complaints is that a lot of people go and apply even before doing the entrepreneurship training. So that's what delays the application. But if you've completed all the requirements, you have a good credit check, your BVN is valid, you typically will take maximum of 21 days. And where our citizens do have met all these requirements and they've applied, they've not heard, they can as well talk to the NMFB. And if they're not satisfied, they can email dfd@cbn.gov.ng, to lodge a complaint, and then we'll follow up, because it's a program that is, there to the governor's heart, and it's something that, like I said earlier on, contributes to national development. And indeed, we'll follow up to ensure that the disbursement is made. We have over 200 EDCs, and they're accessible. They're listed on the National Microfinance Bank website, which is the primary disbursing agency for the AGSMEIS loan. And then we'll look at how we can also put them on the central bank website if they're not there. But the primarily responsible institution is the National Microfinance Bank. They have the EDIs listed there. Every state capital has a multiplicity of the EDIs. We'll continue to certify more so that we can get them closer to the people. And the idea behind the National Microfinance Bank is not just the EDIs, but it's for the National Microfinance Bank to exist in all the 774 local government areas in the country. As we speak, there are over 106 branches and growing. We look at how we can work with the NMFB to ramp it up so that our citizens can easily, especially our young people, go into any of the branches, and then those who cannot apply online can just fill a form there and can access the form as quickly as possible. Yes, the bank realizes that if you look at the demography of Nigeria, youth form a large chunk. Between the ages of 18 and 35 are over 62% of our population, and they're active, and they form a key group who can contribute to more productive activity and the resultant effect in national development. That is why we have rolled out so many programs, not just the AGSMEIS, the Targeted Credit Facility. A lot of youths are involved in that. We also have the National Youth Investment Fund working with the Ministry of Youth and Sports. That's also targeted at youth. Our Anchor Borrower program, quite a lot of youths are playing in that sector. We also have the Creative Industry Financing Initiative, mostly targeted at our youth. Because if you look at that demographic, a lot of our youths are involved in things like fashion, music, movie, and the technology industry. And we need to be able to get them involved in one of these interventions or the other. The Cypher is another intervention for the youths. They can go, recently we even relaxed the requirements for IT. Hitherto, you needed maybe an IT-related certificate to be able to achieve it. But we believe that even if you study history and you have the ability to be able to code, and given the right support through the intervention, you can do wonders. So we know the demographics, and our population is growing, almost close to 3% on year. So where more youths are coming into that basket, a lot of them cannot get formal employment. But if we provide the right incentive, they can use their hands to be able to do something, earn income, contribute to national output. That is the reason why we have a lot of these interventions targeted specifically at our youth. We also have the MSME, which is 220 billion has been set aside, also for youth, significantly also for women. 60% of the fund is set aside for women. As a central bank, we are also interested in not only the demographics, but also access, especially by women, especially up north. In the northeast where I come from, if you look at AGSMEIS that we've disbursed, women have accounted for less than 11%. It's something that is troubling. So as a central bank, working with the National Microfinance Bank and other stakeholders, we're looking at how we can ramp up and ensure that more women get access, either using faith-based organizations or other channels to look at how they can get involved in such interventions and youth-based programs that we have. I think the future is bright because it's a program that has come to stay. Like I said, it's a well-established program. As our banks continue to do well, you continue to have funding in that pot. We've had general complaints about the size of the distribution. So the maximum was 10 million. But to bring in more people into the net, we're looking at how we can recalibrate, and ensure that indeed the amount you request for is justified. So nobody's requesting for 10 million when you can use 5 million to do the business. So you can have 2 people doing 5 million or 3 people doing 3 million as against 1 person using 10 million, so that we can attend to that larger population of our people who need the fund. So AGSMEIS is a very bright initiative. We'll continue to be creative and also look at how we can fund it, either using matching funds, not only the Bankers Committee, but look at other sources of funds that we can, put in there to ensure that we continuously increase the pot that is drawn from, and then a lot of beneficiaries, get it and contribute, to national output.
Now you can make that move to become a successful entrepreneur, taking advantage of the opportunity offered by the CBN Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprises Investment Scheme. Talk to your bank or visit any NESA microfinance bank near you. Moving on, the Central Bank of Nigeria has called for active participation of the financial sector in the African Continental Free Trade Area AfCFTA agreement. Speaking during a town hall webinar for financial stakeholders on the AfCFTA agreement on Monday, CBN Deputy Governor, Economic Policy Directorate, Dr. Kingsley Obiora, emphasized the need for the sector to reposition and play a key role in reaping the benefits provided in the agreement, adding that the CBN will give the needed support. For his part, the Director General, Nigerian Office of Trade Negotiations, Ambassador Yunov Aga, assured that his office would also work with all stakeholders in the area of negotiations for maximum benefits. However, the Director, CBN Trade and Exchange Department, Dr. Ozomina Nnaji, said that there are lots of bottlenecks which needed to be removed for Nigeria to reap maximum benefits from the Continental Agreement. He cited the issue of logistics at the existing ports of entry and the need to open up additional ports to accommodate the expected trade volume.
Aha, you want to call the number? Oh yeah, wait. Oh yeah, 0.
No, now. Stop it.
What? I'll call you back. What?
Stop writing on the naira.
It's just 500 naira.
No matter the denomination, the naira is not a sheet of paper to be written on or crumpled. It is Nigeria's legal tender currency. The naira should not be abused by being sprayed or danced on at parties. The naira is not a shelf item to be sold or bought along the road or at social events.
So how will I celebrate with people when I go for their parties?
You can simply put your monetary gifts inside envelopes and present to the celebrants.
If I choose to spray and call?
You could go to jail for 6 months or pay a fine of 50,000 naira or both.
For real?
I
didn't know that.
Now you know. Spread the message. The naira is a symbol of our national identity. Let's safeguard its integrity. Don't abuse the naira.
This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN.
Welcome back, and we have come to the end of today's package from the CBN. Be sure to check out the website of the Central Bank of Nigeria using www.cbn.gov.ng to learn more about its various economic intervention schemes. Or better still, locate the CBN branch office in your state for more information. Call the CBN Contact Center using the phone line provided below for your valid complaints. Remember, local coverage may apply. Keep sending your comments and contributions to the email address fromthecbn@gmail.com and follow us on all social media for updates and uploaded episodes of the program. Join us again next time. I am Emefiele. Stay safe and bye for now.